Good morning, Commissioner Handy.
Hey, how's it going? Happy to be here.
Yep. Yeah, doing well.
Ready
Thanks so
to
much for joining me virtually.
Yeah.
Kind of a hybrid situation going on, and having at least you virtual means that my big face won't necessarily be up on the screen the whole time. Vicki, I'm not sure, can you hear us? Not yet. We'll see. Good morning, everyone. We've started the virtual recording. We'll go ahead and call to order in just 1 minute. Commissioner Handy, are you able to hear me? I'm getting a message from Vicki that I'm muted. Looks like you are able to hear me though.
No, I'm hearing you very fine, Commissioner.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Vicki, can you confirm whether or not you all can hear me? Oh.
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. To all those who are participating virtually, give us 1 more minute. We are having some technical difficulties. It sounds like the audio is not working in the room. So we'll call to order just a couple of minutes late. Thanks for your patience.
Commissioner Tenner, can you hear us?
Oh, that's great.
Can you give us a thumbs up if you can hear us, Commissioner Tenner? Great. We cannot hear you. We've
Oh,
got
we
some
still-
staff that are working on that at the moment. We can see some conversations taking place for everyone that's virtual. That audio is not coming through here at TSOP. So if you guys could give us just one quick second, we're working to resolve that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody there?
Hi there, welcome. We're having a couple of technical issues. We'll be starting shortly.
Is there any way we can see him virtually? I mean, on the computer, or there is no way we can see?
You should be able to see right now. You should see the commissioners who are participating virtually. That's myself, Commissioner Tenner, and Commissioner Handy. And then you should also have video of the actual room where the meeting is happening. So if you don't
While
have
the
that,
staff are working to resolve this technical issue, I wonder if, I want to just check and see, Commissioner Tenner, if it's your audio or maybe everyone's audio. I see Commissioner Handy is on. Commissioner Handy, could you unmute yourself and maybe just say a few words? We can see if we can hear you.
Yeah, testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Okay.
We can see you, and I can see that you're talking, but we can't hear you either. Okay, that at least confirms that it's a multi-participant issue. It's not just you, Commissioner Tenner. Okay.
thank you.
Again, we're working to call someone to get this resolved.
Great, thank you.
Hang on one second.
Commissioner Handy, it's often a me issue, so thank you.
Well, this is, technology, when it works well, it's just fantastic. But when it doesn't, and I know that we're in a little bit of a funny day today, and hope you're feeling a little better. So that's
Thank you,
good.
appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm always so grateful for the technology for sure, but when it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
No, it can be very frustrating because we rely on it so heavily. But that's interesting that you and I are communicating. They can't hear us.
Exactly. Yeah, all right. Mr. Jammer.
Yeah.
Can hear us as well. Yeah, I think that we had tried to push this all to virtual, and then really something happened where it ended up staying hybrid. So
Right.
it just is what it is, but let's give them another couple of minutes, and if not, we'll
All
just
right.
go to plan B and have someone there maybe will have to lead.
Commissioner Tenner, we've got a tech that's on their way down here. If we could just have a couple of more minutes. If a couple of more minutes lapses and we don't have a resolution, we do think we might have a backup plan where we could get, we want to make sure we have a quorum, obviously, right? To be able to start the meeting, move it forward. We have in attendance here, Commissioners Terrazon, Commissioner Orton, and Commissioner Jacobson. So we definitely need a fourth, but we're thinking the commissioners that are online, we could probably call you via phone with a merge and have you on speaker so that we could at least conduct the business. It would not be ideal. So it'd be great if we do get this tech in here and can get it resolved. But we think we might have a backup so we can still move forward.
Super.
Just want to let you know where we were. Okay.
Chair Tenner, can you hear me?
Yes, is that Mr. Cade Meyer?
We could do it this old fashioned way if we'd like to move forward, or we can wait for the tech.
All right.
We just wanted to make sure we could do this backup system.
Sure.
And I will
Yeah.
hold this up and we'll kind of go from there if we need
You
to.
know, I think if it's okay with the staff, why don't we go ahead and start? We can work in tandem. So we can look to fixing the technical issue. But if we have a way to handle this, let's go ahead and do that. And then Kate, you'll just hold the little microphone up for me and Commissioner Handy. Is that okay? Can you hear us?
Can everyone hear that? Yes, it does provide a little feedback.
Oh.
I can hear you, Kate.
Yeah.
How we access the Zoom meeting without the password?
Can I please ask that anyone who's not participating in this meeting right now put themselves on mute? Kate, how much feedback is it? Is it?
None at the moment.
It's no feedback until I talk.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't we go ahead and start? And then maybe Kate, you and I will just have to coordinate on muting and unmuting myself and Commissioner Handy. So when you do your parts. All right. Well, after some technical difficulty that we're still moving through, I am going to officially call this meeting of the Commission of the Alcoholic Beverage Services to order. Today is Thursday, September 28th, 2023. It is 10:07 a.m. This meeting is taking place as a hybrid meeting with the anchor location in the normal meeting place, 4315 South, 2700 West in Taylorsville, Utah. Myself, Commissioner Juliette Tenner, and Commissioner Steve Handy are participating virtually, with Commissioners Jennifer Terrazon, Commissioner Jacqueline Orton, and Commissioner Tom Jacobson participating in person at the anchor site. Commissioner Natalie Randall and our chair, Commissioner Tara Tui, are excused from this meeting, and I will be chairing the meeting today. So the meeting is called to order. We will begin with our usual Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Brian James from the DABS will lead us in that pledge. Brian, can you please begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America,
and
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, God,
indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
Commissioner Tenner, just since we have a break, we've done a couple of things. We want to see if it works. You're not currently on mute, is that correct?
That is correct. I'm not on mute. Commissioner Handy is currently on mute. He can go off if you
Okay,
need him.
yeah, she's not on mute. We still can't hear. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, all right. All right, so we move into a couple of announcements. Just want to remind everyone of our future meeting schedule. We usually meet the last Thursday of the month, unless circumstances call for something otherwise. And so we will convene on Thursday, October 26th, and then we will convene on Thursday, November 30th. Want to make sure that everyone is aware of an upcoming holiday closure. The liquor stores and our DABS offices, administrative offices, and the warehouse will be closed on Monday, October 9th for the observance of Columbus Day. So just please make sure that if there's any urgent business that you're taking care of with DABS around that time, that you take care of it ahead of time. And the same to our customers. If there are any items that you're needing from our liquor stores around that time, please do make sure that you're planning ahead and visiting ahead of time. So Monday, October 9th will be closures in the administrative offices, the warehouse, and liquor stores. We'll handle public comment today as noticed in the agenda. For those of you that are in person at the anchor location, please sign up with the form located at the back of the room. And the DABS team will make sure that we are aware of your intent to comment so that we can call on you. For those of you that are participating virtually, we did have a cutoff time for that. We ask that you email your name, city, and topic and affiliation to hotline@utah.gov by 5 p.m. on the Wednesday before our meeting so that we can read your public comment into the record. I know that Vicki will let us know if we have any, but I don't believe, the last I checked, I don't believe we had any. And we will be addressing public comment at the end of this meeting. Next, Mr. Sean Wilford is going to give the financial update for the department. Sean?
Thank you.
Sean, is your microphone on? Perhaps maybe we need to have Kate turn his stuff off,
Right.
and then Sean, can you
We're going to try
make
a
sure your
different
microphone's
microphone
on?
here. Is this working? Okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Cool. So I'm presenting the August financials. So the time frame for these is a little bit different because of our 4-4-5 retail calendar. The dates are actually July 30th, 2023 to 9/2/2023, which that's important because the previous year's sales and financials are actually 1 week shorter. So this past August was 5 weeks as opposed to the prior year being 4 weeks. That being said, this past August sales were $52.1 million, whereas the prior was $41.9 million. However, on an average day sales of 30 this year versus 24 last year, it's less than a 1% difference, $1.7 million in sales per day. Now, year to date, to show that same effect, we had 53 days of sales so far this year between July and August. Days last year were 48. Days this year, 1.8 million in sales per day. Last year, 1.78 million per day, which is a 1.29% increase, which speaks to the current economic situations. And so, that normalizes a little bit, showing how we've been impacted. And year to date, the operating expenditures are, sorry, I lost my place, 17.9 million year to date. Last year were only 9.2 million year to date, but that is because we recognized the full year's expenses earlier this year. It's just a timing effect. So there's not much normalization on the expenditure side of things, but during the remainder of the year, those expenses are going to be relatively the same month to month. Do I have any questions?
Are there any questions of the commission? Commissioner Orton, I know that you and the operations subcommittee take a close look at this when you convene. Is there anything that you wanted to highlight or point out?
I think that we were just all very appreciative of the hard work of the staff and Sean in particular. We didn't see any irregularities or anything like that, but we were just we all commented on how appreciative we were of the efforts being made, so.
Right.
And
Thank you.
I will say, the sales look good. Sales do look good, so.
Well, we appreciate that, and we appreciate everyone, keeping a close eye on those numbers, and Sean, all of your diligence and the work that you do. And it's nice to see those numbers and the money that's being generated for things like the school lunch program and other government services. Next, we get to have our Parents Empowered update. Doug Murakami always shares a great update there. Go ahead and turn the time over to you.
Great, thank you, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. And for the public who may not be familiar with our Parents Empowered campaign, Parents Empowered is Utah's underage drinking prevention, media, and community education campaign. Our goal is to have every Utah child make it to age 21 without being without having had any alcohol. And because parents and caregivers play a fundamental role in parenting and protecting kids' healthy brains, the campaign is directed at the parents. They're the number one influence in their child's life. And research tells us that kids are less likely to drink alcohol if parents are actively engaged in their child's lives and communicate their strong disapproval of underage drinking. So each odd numbered year, we use the Student Health and Risk Prevention Survey, or SHARP survey for short. We've got a graph here. First of all, the Utah Department of Health and Human Services commissions this survey, and they gave us a little sneak peek at this year's youth alcohol use trends. So what we're looking at here, the three lines that you're seeing represent the three measures of youth alcohol use rates. The top line is lifetime use, meaning have they ever had a drink in their life? The middle line, or the orange line, represents past 30-day use, which is considered the standard for a regular underage drinker or regular user. So it's a drink within the past 30 days. And then that bottom line is binge drinking. And that's defined as 5 or more drinks on occasion or within the past 2 hours. So first of all, as you can see, underage drinking use rates in Utah continue to trend downward. And that's the good news. The data points show the percent of students using alcohol in that particular year. So we've got from 2005 to 2023. And then if you can, it's kind of hard to read, but those call out boxes on the right represent the percent reduction in the three measures of alcohol. So for example, lifetime use has decreased in Utah 60%. The past 30-day use has decreased 71% since 2005, and then binge drinking has decreased 72%. So we're certainly pleased with those numbers. But one of the things I want to point out is that one of these days, these numbers are going to go up, right? We've felt that we're pretty much at the floor on these numbers. So we're aware that hopefully will at least flatten out and not increase at great rates. So I do want to point out that this effort it's a statewide effort, and it's certainly not all about our campaign. I think of all the people that help to prevent underage drinking in Utah. I think of law enforcement. I think of our retailers denying alcohol sales to minors. I think of sound alcohol policy, communities, and most of all, parents. We want to thank them and give them credit for helping drive these numbers down. They understand that there's harms with underage drinking. They understand that by indicating their complete disapproval of drinking underage will help drive these numbers down as well. So with that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Doug, and thanks for always sharing, some of the specifics about the good work that you do. We know that Parents Empowered is, an important program. It's just nice to see some of the data around it, and then, understand exactly the outcomes. And we appreciate the work. Does the commission have any questions for them?
Commissioner Tanner, I just have a brief comment. A friend of mine who has 4 children who are under 18 called me the other day and said, those Parents Empowered commercials are really silly, but we all know the numbers between 9 and 13 now. And she said the commercials have really opened up a conversation with her kids. And that's purely what we're looking for. Those are the results we're looking for with what Doug is doing. So we very much appreciate these sometimes silly commercials that y'all, because I know a lot of thought goes into those commercials and they really are having an impact because it's hard not to notice those numbers and remember them.
Thank you, Commissioner. It's true. It's hard to break through all of the noise of all of the advertising in a short period of time, right? So yeah, appreciate that they picked up on that. Thanks.
Great. Yes, thank you. And I'll just echo Commissioner Orton's comments, and the commercials have definitely started some conversations in my house where we have an about to be 9-year-old. Let's go ahead and move over to our operations update. Our Director Clayson and Deputy Director Meyer are on point for that, so I'll turn the time over to them.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner. We've been hard at work on a number of things since we last met last month. As recent as yesterday, both myself and Kay, Deputy Director here, did our formal budget presentations to the executive branch. That'll be something we can talk in more detail about once the governor makes his prioritizations public in December. But we felt like that was a really great opportunity to put some funding requests forward, and we're optimistic about that. In addition to that, a lot of focus for the agency has been around closing the year out. So obviously the fiscal year ends in the summer, right? And then it does take, some additional time after that to just make sure things are tied out and reconciled. And so the team has been very engaged on that. And that's been a real focus of work for us. And I'm happy to report that things are looking really positive as far as that goes. What I'd really like to spend the majority of my operations report talking about is the importance of the annual license renewals that are sort of before the public right now and will be before you next month. So the current licenses that are up for renewal are airport lounge, arena, banquet, hospitality amenity, hotel, resort, reception center, and restaurant. So that's full service restaurant, limited restaurant, and licensed as a restaurant. These license types must renew by September 30th. Those who do not renew by September 30th can submit a late renewal for an additional late fee. Late renewals are accepted until October 10th at 5 p.m. The renewal and the late renewal fees and timing are defined in statute, and per state statute may not be waived. So we really don't have any ability, right, to be flexible because statute dictates how we have to move on that. So those that do not renew will no longer be licensed after October 31st this year. The Compliance and Licensing Division has reached out to licensees to notify them of the renewals, especially since we have our new online licensing system. We're really excited about that opportunity, but we've worked even harder to over communicate the deadlines and over communicate that we have a new system, how to navigate the new system. And I just reviewed late last night all of the communication efforts that our staff have done and completed in order to reach out to licensees about this renewal. And I have to tell you, it's been a multi-tier approach, emails and letters, and even call campaigns, several call campaigns. So we're working really hard to make sure that no one is unaware that we have a new system, how to use the new system, and ultimately that it's time for renewal. So I feel really confident about how we've been working to make sure everyone is aware, and if they need assistance, right, navigating the new system or anything, that they have that assistance from our staff. So the last thing I just wanted to point out, again, everyone needs to renew by September 30th. Those that don't make that deadline can still renew through October 10th, and that late renewal fee is $300. That renewal fee actually was significantly higher in the thousands of dollars, but due to work by the legislature in collaboration with some recommendations we made, they lowered that to $300. So that's a benefit that folks will now have if they find themselves in that late renewal situation. I'll turn it over to Cade for one more update, and then we'll wrap up the operations update.
Thank you, Director Clayson. We just wanted to comment today that our rare and high demand product drawing has been completed. Just finished the antique collection and the very famous Pappy's collection. There was over 10,000 entries for those who were interested in those products. And the team has gone through and run this through the process. Winners have been selected. And as of today, those bottles that were a part of this drawing are arriving in stores. So they're arriving in stores. Once they arrive at the store of the selected location for the individuals to come down and make that purchase, then emails will go out and notify the winners, and they will have that opportunity to come down and make that purchase. So the way it works is our warehouse team is delivering to certain stores today. So those stores got their notification. Tomorrow, another group of stores, and so forth as we go through the rest of the week. But within the week or so, everybody will be notified. And well, they've already been notified as a winner, but notified that it's at the new location is the next round of email notification and communication. So that is complete, and we're very grateful for the staff who worked on this to make it a success. And we just wanted to make sure you were in the know on this very famous opportunity. So thank you. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Director and to our Director and Deputy Director. Does the Commission have any questions on those reports? All right, seeing none, we move on to our first action item. That is the Type 5 Package Agency Administrative Fee. We'll turn the time over to our Director and our Executive Director and our Director of Compliance to brief us on this item and what we are voting on. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Commissioner. So Type 5 package agencies is a Utah alcohol sort of policy jargon for local distillers, local brewers, wine and cider makers that are licensed to sell their products from their business locations. So they sell their products straight from their business locations to the public. Those products don't come to our warehouse. They're not involved in our sort of logistics process, et cetera. Some products may be dual sold right at our stores, but nonetheless, they're selling those products that they make out of their business location directly to the public. Historically, the DABS, then DABC, charged Type 5 package agencies a 5% administrative fee to cover, the litany of costs their operations incur on our department in the state of Utah. Those include clerical and accounting costs, as well as staff time necessary to administer contracts and complete required audits and financial reporting. There are also significant costs related to, tech costs and tech systems costs that work to be part of the fixed overhead, as well as the movable and sort of sliding overhead, right? Because not all of those costs are indeed fixed cost as a part of our overhead costs to implement, audit, and oversee this great program. In our department's most recent annual audit by the state auditor, we welcome the state auditor to review this administrative fee so we can learn more about its usefulness and the implications, from an outside perspective. That audit found that the fee, which was enacted, a long time ago, predates this administration, actually did not undergo the proper process as defined by state law that includes holding a public hearing. So again, that was presented 2 months ago here at this commission meeting. We responded to it publicly, et cetera. Today, what will be before you, we're taking a major step to remedy that issue by now presenting in this public hearing. However, today we're not holding a public hearing about a 5% fee because over the last few months, our department reviewed the actual administrative cost accrued by Type 5 package agencies. And thanks to the shifts in computer technology and the other internal streamlining that we've done at the department, both from a human capital perspective, just making sure that division is structurally more efficient, but they have tools to actually be more efficient, right? We've run the numbers and we're not proposing a 5% fee. Instead, we're proposing to codify a 3% fee, so a reduction of 2%. We believe that that 3% fee will adequately cover the overhead administrative costs for this program. Again, I want to make sure you understand our position is that we think it is great that the legislature provided for a program for Type 5 package agencies. We think it's great that they have the ability to go to market direct to the public, right? To be able to work with the consumer and sell these products. Again, this issue predates us. And so we're happy that we had an opportunity to re-examine the operating cost and really look to make this right. It's important to note that while DABS is proposing the fee and that we're requesting here after this public hearing to move it forward, we're just asking to move forward the process. Both the governor and the legislature have the ability to approve, modify, or reject the fee request as it proceeds through the budgetary and legislative process during the upcoming 2024 general session. While working through this issue, I have had many conversations with representatives of Type 5 package agencies, some in small groups, some individually, one-on-one, some in person, some phone calls. We've also been working with our legislative leads on this issue. So, our initial response to the audit was that we would work with all, the complicated number of entities and people required to move forward with some sort of a decision, right, and a path forward. And so that has been with our budget offices, right, both at the executive branch, legislative branch, again, stakeholders and our legislative leads. This is a group of hardworking Utah entrepreneurs who are collaborative, and they're working to make important contributions to our state and economy and culture. And we obviously don't want to get in the way of that. So before you, the action that you would be taking would be to move forward the 3% administrative fee. And again, that's just the start of the process. The process is multi-steps. It's pretty lengthy. And if you have any questions about that, Erica, is available to shed light on that. But this is just the start of the process. It's definitely not the end. It doesn't mean that now that percentage fee is codified. Erica, would you add anything?
Just one note. I think you explained it really well, Director Clayson, but it does get submitted to the legislature and it's put into a bill. And so it will go through that normal process that you see with bills.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that overview, and also thank you for sharing some of that information ahead of time so we were able to ponder it. I do understand that we do have at least one member of the public who is signed up to comment on this item. And because I know that I said that I would save public comment until the end of our meeting, but because this is something that we're looking to forward to the legislature, this is kind of serving as the point at which we're gathering public information. As Erica notes, this will go through the process where it will be included in a fee bill, which has a lot of fees in it. And sometimes some of that comment can get lost along the way. I do want to take public comment on this item before we take a vote as a commission. So I would just ask that Director Clayson, I understand that you have the list of those who have signed up. So if you wouldn't mind calling to the podium anyone who is signed up to make public comment on this specific action item, I'd appreciate it.
Great. And I'm sure he will introduce himself, but given that I know who's before you, it's Peter Erickson. He's signed up as Epic Brewing. Peter.
Okay, great. And also, I'll just make a note, and I apologize on virtual, so it's a little bit awkward, but I will make a note that we do need to limit individual public comment to no more than 3 minutes, given the time that we have available. So I'll lean on our director to keep track of time and signal to those who are making comment of their time. Thank you, Mr. Erickson.
Hi, thanks for listening to me, Director Clayson. I appreciate the reduction from 5 to 3. I think that's awesome. But I'd like to give a little bit of background from my experience in the package agency. We have a Type 5 or a brewery. I guess in 2010 is probably when we started doing it. Before our time, the way that it worked, the manufacturer would send their product to the DABS or the DABC at the time. They would put yellow stickers on it and then it would get shipped back. So there's quite a bit of handling by the DABC. And then eventually what happened is they gave the yellow stickers to the manufacturers to apply the stickers on the bottles themselves. And then eventually they got rid of the yellow stickers. So there's kind of that physical part of the process where the type 5 package agencies have a lot lower burden on the cost of the DABS because they don't have to handle it. They do nothing about handling it for type 5 package agencies. Administratively, I think it probably follows along those same lines. When you have to move that product around and sticker it and do all that stuff, the administrative burden is probably quite a bit higher. And that still happens with other types of package agencies where they're handling it more and they're probably doing a lot more administrative work to follow that process. So I guess what I don't know the information about this accounting, of course, for the DABS, but using the numbers that I can find publicly, I think in 2022, there was the type 5 package agencies had sales of about 16 million. I believe that's what the number is. And if you take 5% of that number, it's like, it's a lot of money. And I think it's something like, around $800,000. And from my perspective, watching what the DABS has to do, the services they're providing us, or in the process, is processing our invoices. That's what the packet we turn in every month to the DABS invoice. It's like turning in your tax return. This is what we sold, and then they turn around and we know what they're going to bill us for it. But they turn around and they get a cut, and part of that cut is the 5% administrative fee. And for me, it's like, hey, I'm turning in my 1040, and not only do I have to pay my tax that I owe, but I also owe a fee based upon my tax to the IRS for processing my tax return. It seems a little bit crazy. And I think one of the suggestions of the auditors was, you don't even have to charge a fee. So anyway, the way I think about it is through the years, there's usually one clerk at the DABS that we're interacting with to take care of those payments for the monthly invoices. And I figure there's one person this is my simplistic understanding, is that there's a clerk in the DABS that's processing the invoices. And it's hard for me to imagine that it's $800,000 the cost for the DABS to do this stuff. It's hard for me to imagine if it's dropped from 5 to 3, that it's, 500,000. It seems to me that we missed the decimal place is in the wrong place.
Mr. Erickson, thank you. We do appreciate your comments. I'm getting a note that your time has expired. We do appreciate you putting those comments on the record, and I know that I appreciate getting that information, and I'm sure that my colleagues do as well. So thank you for taking the time to put that information on the record. Are there any other members of the public who have signed up to comment on this item? Okay. All right, let's go ahead.
Commissioner Tenner.
Yes, go ahead, Director.
I just wanted to quickly, this part of the conversation, we have built the financials. It requires several FTEs in the compliance division, as well as FTEs in the accounting division. And again, there are other additional costs related to, tech systems costs, et cetera, that run into that number. I would also just note, from a historical perspective of stickering that now is not done. Again, all of these things contribute from that 5% fee to a 3% fee. But we do feel like we absolutely can justify the overhead costs and have worked really, really hard to be able to support that.
Thank you, Director. You actually must have gotten into my mind and looked for the question that I had. So I appreciate you answering that question. And providing that additional detail. To the commission, does the commission have questions on this item, either related to just the process, the audit, the fee calculation, that analysis that went into that 3% number?
I would just say that as a member of the operations subcommittee, we've gone through this fairly robustly. And we've had, private conversations with the director and staff. And I'm very confident in the structure that we use to come up with the 3%.
Thank you, Commissioner Orton. Commissioner Handy.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm just wondering, for my assistance and help, how many Type 5 package agencies are there? And this would probably be directed to the director or to Cade.
I can answer that, Commissioner Handy. Last we looked, we had 79 active package agencies. That was this week.
Now, it's my understanding that these package agencies, they do not incur the same standard markup that a wholesaler would incur. Is that right? Is there a lessened markup on a package agency?
So
on their
right now, complicated question. In the audit, that was one of the findings, as well as how we handle the markup. Right now, there is not a markup being charged. There's conversations about that as well, about how we handle that. And the audit findings kind of detail that quite a bit.
Oh, I need to dive into that then better. So there's no markup on this. So it would be, it has been the 5%. Now we're proposing to a 3% administrative fee, a handling type fee. Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'll also clarify one other thing. The 5% fee is in the Type 5 package agency contract, if that helps.
So they have the 79 providers, the package agencies, they all have a contract, and they know that it's a 5% administrative fee, as the gentleman just mentioned in the public comment. Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was help, some additional helpful clarifying information. Will you just amend, if this were to go through, maybe I can just talk through how I understand it. If this were to go through, this recommendation would go to the governor, and the governor would decide whether or not to include it in their budget recommendations, but it would also go to the legislature to be included in fee prep and the fee bill. The fee bill, if with this in it were ultimately approved by the legislature, then this would become active sometime next year. And then would you just amend the contracts at that point, or how?
Correct. Yeah, correct. We'd have to amend the contracts to reflect the new fee. It's also would be part of the annual fee schedule that gets submitted to the legislature every year.
Okay. Well, with that, I would be looking for a motion, and maybe I should ask Erica to clarify what this motion should look like, given we haven't really dealt with this fee issue in the past. And so I'm looking for a motion, but I'm hoping that Erica can give us an idea of what the wording for that motion would look like.
Sure. So I think really we're just looking for a motion as to whether we should move forward with submitting it to the legislature and to the governor as part of our appropriations request.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Handy, are you making that motion?
I'm ready to make that motion, Madam Chair, if you're ready for that.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you. I would move that we follow the recommendations of staff, and that we empower them to move forward with the 3% adjustment as they move forward in working with the legislature into the 2024 session. Does that state it correctly and clear enough for everyone? For Type 5 package agency, is that clear enough?
I believe that covers it really well. Thank you. Is there a second to Commissioner Handy's motion?
I'll second.
All right. And was that, I apologize not being there, was that Commissioner Orton?
Orton. Uh-huh.
All right. Second by Commissioner Orton. Is there any discussion? All in favor? I'm going to ask Vicki, just given that we are hybrid, following along with best practices, I'm going to ask Vicki to do a roll call vote for us.
Commissioner Orton, Commissioner Jacobson, Commissioner Terrazon.
Aye.
Commissioner Handy.
Aye.
Commissioner Tennant.
Aye. I'll go ahead and rule that motion is passed, and that 3% fee will be moved on to the legislature for consideration. Next on our agenda, we have some administrative rules to take a look at. I would like for Erica to provide us with a briefing on kind of the process for administrative rules. All of the commissioners have had have had these rules in our information packets for a little bit of time, so I know that you've all had some time to go through them. Erica, I don't think it's necessary to go through rule by rule in your briefing. If you can just provide us with a general overview of process and what it is we're contemplating today, and then we will go to the commission for any discussion or clarifying questions.
Thank you, Chair. So the advisory board, the Alcoholic Beverage Services Advisory Board, met on September 1st to discuss these rules. Their role, as you remember, is to provide advice to the commission about rulemaking. Ultimately, the advisory board recommended all the changes that you have in your packets that are posted online be sent to the commission for consideration, with a few clarifying questions that came up for staff to look at. After looking at those questions, I think all the concerns are covered in the language, and staff recommends moving forward. I'll note that the rules are largely technical in nature, cleaning up cross-references that changed in the last legislative session, and then making sure that our rules comply with any substantive changes that were made during the last legislative session as well. Also cleaning up some punctuation and other things like that. So I think if, unless there are changes from commission members that you want to talk through, ultimately the goal here would be to authorize the department to move the rules forward for publishing with the Office of Administrative Rules. From there, it would go through the administrative rulemaking process, which includes additional public hearings, and then it would come back to the commission for final review.
Thank you. All right, let's go to the commission. Do any of the commissioners have questions on these rules, comments on these rules? Anything else that they'd like to share in their analysis of the rules?
I guess, I'm sorry, I raised my hand, but I don't want to.
Commissioner Jacobson, it sounds like you have a comment or question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do. I went through this and I've discussed some of these with Erica. And the changes that I have for the most part, or the suggested changes that I had worked on, were adding a word or here or adding a word there, especially like with regard to advertising. And I'm going to get, and I'm sorry, but I've been busy all week and I haven't been able to reduce this to a typed version. But by way of example, where we start giving a list, advertising includes any written or verbal statement, illustration, or depiction which is calculated, and it goes on to say induce alcohol sales. I would also have added the word encourage alcohol sales. And then as far as any of the media that are listed there, I'd also add electronic media so that we cover things like Facebook and Next Door Neighbor and things of that nature. And then I had a change at the bottom of the page that I was going to suggest. Paragraph E, where it says may not encourage overconsumption. I wanted to add the words condone, excuse in there so that, again, we capture some of these other medias. There's some other changes that Erica and I are still discussing that relate to some of the other verbiage in here, and I will give those to Erica. We're going to work through some of those. And as the commission knows, I also on Rule 82-2-108, I thought we were restricting ourselves if we put in the proposed rule change about the two committees and what they could and could not do, that we should leave that out because there's nothing in there that restricts the committees from considering various different things depending upon what is going on at that particular point in time, or what the makeup of the committee is and so on. So for the most part, just throw some small changes, and Eric and I will work through those. Okay.
Let's see. Let's figure out how to handle this. Thank you, Commissioner. And I appreciate. I know that we've got it. I'm thankful to be able to lean on the expertise of the two JDs on our commission in taking a really close look at all of this. And so appreciate the time that you've taken. So we're voting on moving these rules forward right now, or potentially. Let me try something, and perhaps Erica, can you see if this is potentially something that might work? So it sounds like Commissioner Jacobson does have a handful of changes. I'm to be honest with you, I'm somewhat nervous to vote on something that I haven't seen, but hearing that they're cleanup and non-substantive, and commissioners, you know, even if Erica says this would work, don't feel like you have to go along with it. But I'm just trying to maybe look for something that we can keep these rules moving forward on. Could we vote today to move these rules forward through the process with the caveat that we as a commission are supportive of additional changes through the feedback of commissioners as they're deemed non-substantive by our chair and our director of compliance. So before I even go to the commission to see if that's something that might work, I just want to make sure, Erica, is that an okay? Would that work? Would that be legally binding? Would that work for us?
I don't know if I want that power, Chair Tenner. I think another way that might get us to the same place is you could elect to move forward with the clarifying changes in the advertising rule. I think if everybody is comfortable with those, and then we could reopen the rules for additional changes down the line after talking, Commissioner Jacobson and I talk, and then it would be a little more formal. You'd probably have to wait for these to pass through the administrative rules process, but then there wouldn't be worry about discretion not being public.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, that's what I'm nervous to move. You see where I am. I'm kind of like nervous to move without seeing things, but then that transparency is really important. Commissioner Handy.
Yeah, I think that Erica's correct. I think we should bifurcate the approval process here.
Great. Thank you.
As
Thank you.
As
you have a lot of experience here, so thank you. Then I propose that we move along that path. Are there any other questions or comments of the commission?
Commissioner Chenner, are we moving forward on the rules as they're written currently, or because I was really hoping to be able to see Commissioner Jacobson's changes before the meeting, and because generally his changes are very thorough and well received, but I too am a little nervous about adopting something that I haven't read yet. So is that what we're doing?
Yeah,
are we voting as they're written?
So I think I think we're in Erica, Commissioner Handy, I think what they're proposing is that we would move certain rules, make sure that I've got this right, that we would move certain rules as written, and then we would not move on those rules that have some proposed changes to them, just to give some time to get those changes sorted out and then circulated with the commission. So we'll go ahead and put them into two buckets. And I see Commissioner Handy giving the thumbs up. I guess Erica or Commissioner Jacobson, which specific rules are we talking about holding to make these changes to?
Well, let's, first of all, the changes that I have on 82-1-104 are just adding words. And if we could, I have no problem with the concept of that particular rule. The ones that, so that, I mean, it's just words we want to add. And I apologize that I didn't get this out, but as some people know, I've been in trial, and then Monday was the Jewish holiday, which I don't do any work on. And I had to go back into trial on Tuesday, and I just haven't had a chance to be able to do this. So to that extent, the changes that I had, the ones that I think the one that probably is the one that we'd want to pull out would be 82-2-108, which has the addition of what the committees can do. All the other changes are really adding a word or adding some clarification. And I think we could either do that on the next round so that you can get the rules moving, or we can, I'd hate, just because of my inability to get to this, to delay this another month, but that may be the best thing. It'd be just to pull 82, the one I mentioned, 82-10.
Commissioner, I think what I'm asking is, which are the rules that you have? Well, I mean, yeah, that any. Well, I'll let you finish. I'll let you finish. And maybe while you're doing that, Erica, can you? It sounds like you might have some insight to share.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe I'll just start with options, and then the commission can decide what to do. You can go ahead and move all the rules as written. They would then go to the administrative rulemaking process. If there were any changes there, they'd come back to you anyways to review. If you decide to change them after that process, they'd have to go back through the administrative rulemaking process. The second option is to hold, I think, the two rules that we have talked about, actual changes with Commissioner Jacobson, which are R82-1-104 and R82-1-108. One is related to advertising, one is related to the duties of commission subcommittees, and then move forward the other rules that are on the agenda, because it doesn't sound like there's any concerns there. I will say there is a statutory deadline for some of the rules that stem directly from the changes from the legislature. And that does need to move forward so that we comply if there are no concerns, obviously, but there is a time frame that some of these have to move forward within. They're not the two rules that I mentioned, R82-108 and R82-1-104. So you could hold those and not be in jeopardy of missing that deadline.
The other option really would be to approve all the rules, and then we would get these on the next round. We could get these next year. None of these are going to be terribly earth-shaking. I just think that when we have people that come before us and they say, well, I didn't violate this or I didn't violate that, because you don't have the word electronic media in here or some other word. That's the problem we've had in the past, is a lot of people that are alleged to have engaged in a violation. They sit there and they read these things extremely carefully to say, well, you didn't include that, or find some other way to do that. So the verbiage that I have talked about in here are really things that we can get along with for another year. But I think that at some point in time, we have to be real careful with our verbiage.
Great, thank you. Well, let's go ahead and look for a motion. Does anyone want to put one on the table?
I make a motion, we approve all of the rules at this point in time, with the concept that we will review these next year, during the next year, to address whether or not we want to propose any of these changes at the next time that we are going through any rulemaking changes.
Okay, thank you.
And I would second. Yeah,
Okay,
I would
so-
second that motion.
Okay, so it's Commissioner Jacobson's made the motion to go ahead and actually approve all. Really important that we note in the minute what that motion was, with a second by Commissioner Orton. So now opening up for discussion, Commissioner Handy.
Thank you. I am with additional thought and discussion, which I appreciate. I'm comfortable with the motion.
Okay.
I had mentioned when in the initial discussion to bifurcate and pull the two out, but based upon Commissioner Jacobson's comments and the fact that we'll have another opportunity to review, I'm comfortable with approving the motion stated.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, Vicki, can you do a roll call vote on this motion for us, please?
Commissioner Orton. Commissioner Jacobson. Commissioner Terrazon.
Aye.
Commissioner Handy.
Aye.
Commissioner Tennert.
Aye, thank you. So the motion is passed, and those rules will be forwarded on through the process, and we will see them at the end of the public comment process. And thanks to everyone for their diligence on these. Next, we have our violations on the agenda. The consent calendar will be presented by our AG, Sam McHenry. And Sam, will just go ahead and turn the time over to you. And then Commissioner Terrazon, I'll come to you, given that I'm chairing. I would like if you could represent the recommendation that came out of the compliance subcommittee on this. So Sam.
Good morning, commissioners. We have 38 items on the consent calendar. We have complete settlement agreements in place, and all are ready for commission action. If there's any questions, just let me know.
Thank you, Sam. Commissioner Terrazon, can you
Yeah, so
share the sentiment of the committee, please?
yes, so after careful review, the committee would like to make the recommendation to approve the settlement agreements.
Great, thank you. Before we make that, I ask for that to be an official motion. Are there any questions, comments around the consent calendar? All right, Commissioner Terrazon, can you go ahead and make that formal motion? Apologies to be bumping back and forth to you.
No problem. Yes, I'd like to make the motion to approve the settlement agreements.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Orton. Vicky, any discussion? Vicky, can you do our roll call vote for us, please?
Commissioner Orton? Commissioner Jacobson?
Aye.
Commissioner Terrazon?
Aye.
Commissioner Handy? Commissioner Tenert?
Aye, thank you. So those settlements are approved. Next, Director Clayson, can you share our licensee recognitions?
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner. We'll go through these quickly. We've been doing this each month, recognizing those licensees and entities that passed their SBI inspections. We have a ton listed for this month, 176 inspections passed. And of course, those are being projected on the screen for those to see. And then commissioners, you also have a copy of these in your packet. And for those that are joining us virtually, you have a copy of these in your virtual packet. Again, this is a great opportunity right after, obviously, going over settlement agreements for licensees that have had violations. This is a great way to recognize those folks that are working hard to be good operators, to have control measures and things in place to operate safely, not only for themselves, but for the public as well. So we appreciate these 176 licensees that are listed here from all across Utah that passed their inspections.
Great. Thank you, Tiffany. It's nice to see that large number after seeing the large number on the calendar. Moving right along, we have a consent agenda to approve. Erica, can you do the introduction on this, please?
Yep, thank you, Chair. So in this consent agenda, we include the prior meetings minutes and some but not all license applications. The consent agenda includes the following types of licenses and permits: off-premise beer retailers, manufacturing, certain package agencies, hotel sublicenses, special use permit, a local industry representative, limited service restaurants, on-premise banquet, and on-premise beer recreational. The consent agenda, as you will notice, does not include full service restaurants, bar establishments, and reception center applicants. Those license types have license scarcity, and given the likely need for additional discussion between the commission and the applicants, they'll be heard separately after the consent agenda. I want to note that all the applications for approval on this agenda have been processed, vetted, and found to have met all the statutory requirements. You as a commission have the materials and have had the ability in subcommittees and other venues to ask questions of staff related to any of the applicants. I can answer questions that you might have lingering, but otherwise I think you are ready for a motion to approve.
Great, I appreciate that. Thank you, Erica. And just a reminder that the consent agenda is a meeting efficiency, and as Erica noted, there are not controversial items on this agenda, and the full commission has had time to review everything on this agenda ahead of time. Like any consent agenda, any commissioner has the complete right to request the removal of any of these items for separate consideration. But otherwise, we would look for approval of the full agenda. This is we separate some of our duties for our subcommittees to take a deeper dive on some items, and so the operations committee takes a close look at the agenda, at this consent agenda. Commissioner Orton, can you just share any comments coming out of your committee's review and a motion if you're ready?
Sure. After reviewing the consent agenda, we recommend that we approve the consent agenda. And I'll make that motion.
I appreciate that. Is there a second to the motion?
Madam Chair, I have a question. I can't second this because item J, I believe we have to make a decision on, do we not?
Let's get a second and then talk about that in discussion. I think maybe the way to handle this is so.
Well, I could have seconded if we pulled from the consent agenda item J. Otherwise, I can't second it.
Would you, Commissioner Orton, would you consider?
I think he might be, I think he's working from our prior agenda because item J is now on-premise beer recreational. And I think on our prior agenda, reception center was J. So. I think that's the confusion.
Okay. In that case, I can second the motion.
Oh, okay, thank you, Commissioner Jacobson. Any discussion? So I'll just note, it sounds like, again, it sounds like that bit of concern was related to an old agenda. So I feel good about approving this, given that. Any other discussion? Vicky, can you do a roll call vote for us?
Commissioner Orton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jacobson,
Aye.
Commissioner Terrazon,
Aye.
Commissioner Handy,
Aye.
Commissioner Tennant.
Hi, thank you. All right, our consent agenda has been approved. So moving on to the next items, and this next item, I think.
Madam Chair,
Jacobson-
can I
Go
just, I need to apologize for, what I use as my notes is the one we get earlier, and I apologize for that confusion, but I'm using the older agenda because that's where my notes are. So I
Thank you very
apologize.
much. That I feel you. I'm often in the same boat. And it's a great segue into our next agenda item. So now we are into license application consideration items, and under that item, our first action item will be around reception centers. I will go ahead and turn the time over to Rob, but I will just set this up, commissioners, if this hasn't been flagged for you already. This is one of those items that's coming our way where we are seeing scarcity real and in play. We have one reception license available. The next reception license will be available, I'm sure Rob will tell us, but I think it's sometime in 2024, a full year from now, before another reception license will be available. So that's where we are. But Rob, can you share this item with us and tell us what we need to know? Reception center.
Yes. Good morning, commissioners. So the reception center licenses, we have one full year license and one winter seasonal. The winter seasonal runs from November 1st until April 30th. And the reason why we have so few of these licenses is because we only get one license for every 251,000 population increase for the state. So we're only increasing by about 5,000 a month. So it's going to take a long time to get the other license. Current projection isn't until like 2025. So it is going to be a long time before we get another. We do have two applicants. The first applicant is the Wild Oak venue in Linden. The application is conditional, but that is just based on, we don't have the business license yet, but this is a case where the city Linden says everything is in place and they would just switch it out with us if they obtain it. The second one is the Nor Event Center in Taylorsville. It is also conditional based on the same thing. The business license with Taylorsville would be switched out. The Nor Event Center does have a violation history, but both applicants are here and they both are prepared to do a presentation for a couple of minutes if you so choose.
Rob, can you share what the violation history is on Nor Event Center?
Yes, for the Nor Event Center, it's the same ownership, did a single event. It was back on December 31st of 2021, where they allowed consumption after the legal hours. It looks like it was settled for a fine, and it was settled just March of this year.
Thank you. Commissioner Jacobson, it sounds like you have notes on this, so I'll actually go to you. If you could share with the committee or the commission the recommendation of the subcommittee and any other comments you have, I appreciate that.
Well, Commissioner Terrazon is welcome to correct me if I'm wrong, but, and you are too, that we met in subcommittee, we discussed this extensively and realized we were in the dilemma of having to choose one over the other. And our recommendation was based on the fact that, in fact, there was a applicant with a violation history, and that was the real distinguishing feature. And so we were recommending that the license be given to Wild Oak Venue.
Thank you, Commissioner. Does the commission have any questions or comments around these, either, the venues specifically or this type of license or anything else? I'm going to go ahead and look for a motion then.
I'll go ahead and make a motion based on what our committee did. I will move that we award the license to Wild Oak Venue.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Great, seconded by Commissioner Terrazon. Any discussion?
I would think that it would be only fair to allow both of the parties, if they're here, to make a presentation so that when we vote, we have all the information possible to make this very difficult vote.
All right. All right, to that point, let's go ahead and invite representatives from, I'll just go off the order on the agenda, the Wild Oak Venue to share on their application with the commission. And I'll remind you as you come up to the podium, please state your name, then remind us your affiliation.
Hello, thank you, commissioners, for letting us be here. My name is Derek Olson. This is my beautiful wife, Carly.
Yeah, well, we're just a family-run venue in Linden. We started a few years ago, and we decided to do a venue that's all-inclusive. So we offer florals, decor. We try to make it super easy for our clients and our brides to just have kind of a one-stop shop. Kind of feedback we got was that, in Utah County, it's not inclusive if we don't have alcohol being served. And so, our family, we are in a culture where we don't drink, but we do understand how inclusive it is to allow these celebrations to have alcohol. And so that's why we thought, hey, now is the time. We are going to try to get a liquor license, and we're all very responsible, and we have a great area for celebration to allow that to happen. And a lot of our clients come from out of state, and this is kind of what they expect for reception centers as well. And so, yeah, in Utah County, we want to be the most exclusive venue we can by allowing and offering this.
And I'm the only outsider in the family, so it's her, I married into the family, and I'm the only in-law. So we talk a lot. It was pretty crazy at first, but we love each other and we're tight communication. So our biggest highlight is to be responsible. Carly's going to be the manager, so she's the smart one. And she has all her sisters talking to her daily, so we're always in communication. We don't really have outsiders within that unit, so that helps with any issues we may have.
Yeah.
Thank you. Does the commission have any questions for these applicants?
I don't know if this is a question for the applicants or the staff in general, but what is the number, do we know, of the reception licenses in Utah County versus Salt Lake County?
Well, there's only 13 licenses available for the entire state. And so, yeah, I don't think there's any in Utah County right now, but that's just my guess. I don't know for sure.
Okay, that is helpful to know.
Yeah, good question. All right, thank you. Could we have representatives of the Noir Event Center join us at the podium? And as you walk up again, just for the record, if you could state your affiliation on the record and then also your name, and then we'd love to hear from you.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day to have a neighbor. And my name is CJ Drisdom, and I am the proprietor of Noir Event Center, also the Utah Creative Chamber.
Thank you. Please share, can you share a little bit with us on your event center? Just give us a little rundown of what you do there.
All right. So the Noir Event Center has been around maybe about 2 years. It was just an event center at Trolley Square. And I would like to address the commission and the directors here, as well as yourself, and to admit to the situation that happened at Noir Event Center. I hired a company and I expected them to do the right thing. I paid them well over $2,000 to do the right job. And it was New Year's Eve. We had the appropriate security available, staff available, fully staffed. We only had about maybe 175 people where the event center could hold well over 500, 600 people. And so it wasn't too many people to watch or take care of. They had illegitimate people that they gave me their C staff. So I have to, admit guilt to something that I couldn't particularly control in the moment. And so I do apologize for breaking the rule. I've paid for it. I've made provisions. I even have my security staff. Will my family please stand? I have supporters. The Bible says where there's a multitude of counselors, there's great safety. And I put myself in an unsafe situation. And my rule is, if it's not safe, it's not fun. So I appreciate people like Doug who keep kids safe. I have 3 children left, and I lost a child. I lost a child 7 years ago, and my dad is here with me as well. And I have been serving Utah. I come from Compton, California, and I service the streets and the Capitol. My band, called Changing Lanes Band, has played around the world. I orchestrated the Kanye West gospel service at the Gateway Mall in 2019, where over 35,000 people were in attendance. And people look up to me. And I do not want to let these people down. We have so many things to offer at the Utah Creative Chamber that will transform Utah, not just from a wedding perspective, right? Because I play lots of weddings. We just went to Colorado and Wyoming and whatnot. Not just from a wedding venue perspective. It is well over 35,000 square feet of space where we can accommodate any age, any situation, any religion, any gender, any situation. We're covering literally everything that Utah, I hope, the place that I've been living in for 18 years, where my brother served on the Utah basketball team. I hope that this place that I've chosen to live, where I've been asked to come to Houston and Atlanta and all these different places to get diversity in their different places. And so I hope so much that Utah will stand with us and present an opportunity for not just, Sean, you have presented a phenomenal presentation on financial, right? And we know that Utah is doing really well. And so I want to contribute to the growth of Utah, the growth of our children, the growth of our older people. We have several organizations and boards that I serve on, and just to make sure that people are getting the attention that they need. As we know, Utah is #1 per capita in suicide, and we are partnered with different organizations. We have DIVA here as well from that organization. So we're just really just trying to, bring so much love. That's the foundation of the Noir Event Center and the Utah Creative Chamber. That's what it's meant for. Yes, a mistake happened, and I'll take full responsibility for that. However, what's to come is so much greater if we can get this license. Let me pick up your.
Thank you.
Because a good name was rather to be chosen.
So can I ask, sir, can I ask you a question? And thank you for that presentation. I think hopefully you can see the kind of the challenge to the commission, where we have one reception license available to us per legislative statute, and and again, is currently laid out another one, not for another full year. And so I this is, it's, you know, when we're looking at the information and we see that violation, that's one of the distinguishing factors that we have to take into consideration. I would feel a lot more comfortable if I knew that, you know, another one of these licenses was coming up in the next couple of months. And so this is just a real challenge for us as commissioners when, you know, we've got one license and two before us today, and I'm certain within the next couple of months we'll see more applicants that have you know, really productive business plans and you know, are members of our community. So I just wanted to put that on the record as part of discussion. But can I ask whether or not you'd be open to, we have a seasonal and then I will go back to the motion. We'll have to finish out this motion here in just a minute, but we do have a seasonal event permit that is available. I believe it's a winter seasonal. I'm going to ask Erica to describe what that looks like, and then I would be interested in knowing if that's something that you might be interested in. Erica, can you describe what that seasonal permit looks like or license looks like?
Sure. So same as the reception center license, the difference is that it's for the winter, which is essentially October to April.
And while you're thinking about
November.
that, Commissioner Jacobson.
Good thing we have Rob. November. Thank you. I know.
While you're thinking about that, it sounds, Commissioner Jacobson, it sounds like you might have comment.
Well, I'll just comment when they get done making their presentation. I don't have any questions of the applicant.
Hi, my name is Brock Fell. I run an investment firm out here. We're not financially involved currently, but we would like to be. And the reason for that is we went out and saw the I know you call it the creative, but it's more of a, we really see it as more of a fledgling college for artists, for musicians. I've known CJ for about 10 years. I'm also from the LA area. I was born out here, lived out there for a while, and I've seen some of the things that he's gone through and some of the people that he's brought here. I don't think I'm allowed to name any of the artists, but he does have significant contracts. We're working with a law firm out here called Wilson Hand, who's, when we heard about his violation, we were a little bit hesitant to kind of get involved. And we talked to them, and then we also brought in a Bulldog, former Congresswoman Sylvia Anderson, who's there. And we've asked CJ, we said, look, we really support what we're doing. We see all the artists that you're influencing. We've been on the phone with the Prime Minister's office in Cambodia and several other ones, and they want to take the concept that he's doing here other places. And so on the charitable side, we're doing significant donations to it. I'm not super sure on the for-profit side, but as far as that goes, I know that I'm not pro alcohol or tobacco, I'm neither. But I do see with some of the events that he has with some of the celebrities that he's bringing in here, you saw what he did at Gateway, 35,000 people showed up. And with Sundance and some of the other events that are coming up, we're going to get significant exposure, not just for the state, but for a lot of the charity and the schooling and stuff that he's doing for the community. And that gets us a lot of, it just gets us an enormous amount of support and exposure on that. So.
Great. Thank you for your comments. So I just want to go back to my question, and then I will bring the other applicants up because I want to ask them the same question. But would you be, if not awarded the full license today, would you be interested in the seasonal license?
Is that from October to April or?
November to April, sorry for the confusion. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And Chair, if I may, to go back to Commissioner Terrazon's question about locations, I have better data on that if it's helpful. We currently have 8 reception centers in Salt Lake County, 1 in Iron County, 1 in Rich County, 1 in Uena County, and 1 in Utah County.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Is it possible to consider extending our beer license? Because we do have commitments who have asked to do alcohol, or should I get or can I have provision for the single event permits up until that point, because I do have contracts that I need to fulfill during the month of October, which I've spoken with Jeremy about. And so I would love to consider this recommendation. If we can just extend so I don't look bad,
Yeah. Well,
I want to do it right. I'm not gonna.
the same question. To the staff, it sounds like there's a question around if they were to go the seasonal direction, are they able to make do with the beer license extension? It sounds like with the beer license or single event permits. Is that open? Is that an open possibility for them?
Commissioner Tenner, I have my hand raised because I'm not quite sure if you can see me from your view. This is Director Clayson. This has come up before when we've had license scarcity with applicants wanting to make use of single event permit or temporary beer permits. So I would just like, for the record, to answer the question, we are more than happy to sit down with him and look at what the options are, make sure that the request falls in line with what statute prescribes and what the statutory intent is. Obviously, statute has these permits, and the idea is that these permits are not to be in lieu of a license or to skirt around getting a license. So I just wanted to put that on the public record, but also say that yes, we are happy to make sure that staff sit down, assess any permits that they'd like to put forward. Just noting, though, that there are several other entities involved in the permitting process. So there has to be local consent, et cetera, et cetera. So there are a couple of factors dependent on approval of a single event or a temporary beer permit in addition to us. But absolutely, our staff would be happy to sit down and work on any options as far as that goes.
We have submitted, I don't know, 23 single event permits months ago. And so, or a month ago or so. And so we put in that work because we didn't know how this process was gonna go.
Yeah.
We've literally been working on this for the last 3 months, and Taylorsville is not exactly the fastest turnaround situation. And so right now we're just trying to, make sure that all of our ducks are covered.
Can I get some clarification? You are planning some events in October, is that correct?
We have already planned them. They're on the books.
And do you have permits for those already?
No, these are non-alcohol events.
Okay.
What we were doing is planning on having alcohol events because of the people, we saw.
So in order to hold events during October, you would need to get a permit or a license, correct?
In order to hold events that sell and serve alcohol.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what
we
we're
can
talking
hold
about
an
here.
event, yeah.
I know, but in order to serve alcohol, you're going to need a license or a permit, correct?
Yes.
Have you applied for any single event permits this year already?
23.
You've already applied for 23?
Yes.
And those events have taken place already?
No.
So the ones that you've applied for, those will be taking place in October and after?
Yes.
Okay, so that if you qualify for a single event permit, there's nothing that would prevent us from giving that to you in October until a seasonal permit would be available. Is that right?
Yes, and I've already paid for some of the local consents, I believe, on those single event permits.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Could I have the other applicants come up? Because I would like to ask them the same question around the seasonal license. Thank you for your comments, gentlemen. Thank you. So, we're in this place of license scarcity. We've got the one permit, which is under consideration on the motion right now. We do have that seasonal that's been described available. Is that something that if this motion were to fail, if you were not to get your license today or the license that you've applied for today, would you be interested in the seasonal license?
So our venue is kind of unique. Between us four sisters, we have 14 kids. So we actually have an off season. So we do hold events during November and April, but it's significantly less. So the license probably wouldn't do us any good in that seasonal time. We host about 130 during April through November, 130 to 150. So.
Thank you very much. All right, you're welcome to be seated.
Okay.
So we're in discussion. We have a motion on the table. We're still in discussion. Any commissioners? Further questions, comments?
Yes, and I would appreciate, of course, if Commissioner Handy and Commissioner Tenner, who are not here, could interrupt me if there's something I say that doesn't sound correct. But the way I understand seeing all of this is, first of all, we have this violation history staring us in the face. And if violation histories don't count for anything, then we shouldn't have them put on our agenda. But unfortunately, they do. And it's unfortunate how violations occur sometimes. But the fact of the matter is that we provide a lot of tools to avoid any kind of violations, from being able to check licenses carefully and advising permittees that they have to be very, very careful about how and when they serve alcohol. So that's unfortunately a major issue. I don't know that there's a lot of distinction to be made between an event center that's in Linden versus Salt Lake County, since there is already one of those, but there are other places besides event centers that people can hold to hold events. And so that to me is not very persuasive in terms of one way or the other. And it does come down to the fact that the one distinction is the violation history. It appears that we have what I would call, quote unquote, a temporary fix available to us if we went ahead with the committee's recommendation, and that is to assist the Noir Event Center and making sure their permits are available for October, provided they qualify on all the other grounds, and then give them a seasonal. And this should be one of the things that we should be flagging to our legislature, that we have an issue here and that should be addressed in the legislative session, so that possibly next year there would be the opportunity to give a full license to Noir Event Center.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments from the commission before I call for a vote? Go ahead, Commissioner Handy.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate Commissioner Jacobson's insights and well-reasoned thinking there. And I just want to indicate that I concur and will be supporting his motion as proposed, and that I think that for Noir there is a little bit of a workaround there to assist this fine business with a seasonal permit to be able to advance as well as possible. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other discussion from the commission?
Commissioner Tenner, I just want to thank both of the applicants for being here today, because it gave us a much fuller picture of who our potential operators are here. And I also wanted to say that I will be supporting the motion. However, I just want to say that the North Center's presentation was really compelling. And I am glad to know about the services that you're providing. And I am glad that we have I'm glad we have an event center in our community. You have the unfortunate situation that a lot of our applicants have, where you're in Salt Lake City, where the majority of the event center applications or licensees already exist. And so the scarcity combined with the violation history make it difficult for me to award the one license we have to your center this time. But I really appreciated having a much clearer picture of who you are and what you're doing and what, the role you're playing in our community. So thank you for being here. It really was important.
Yeah, and I just want to add, if I can, Chairman, that it's just unfortunately the issue of scarcity. And we hope that if you are able to take that seasonal license, that as the legislature meets again, other licenses will hopefully shake out and we won't be in this position. And I do have full faith in the staff that they will work with you to make sure that you're covered for October. And there is a plan, whatever that may be, following that seasonal license expiration, to figure out what to do next. And like we said, unfortunately, it's if it wasn't an issue of scarcity of license, it would be a different story. And I think unfortunately the the violation does have to weigh heavily into the decision.
Thank you, Commissioner Terrazon. I'll just throw in my 2 cents, prerogative of chair, echo many of the sentiments of my fellow commissioners. I actually will be voting no on this motion. I'm very much torn. I'll be very honest with you. I'm very much torn, and I appreciate the presentations this morning because they gave me some additional context that I didn't come into this meeting with. I was very, very focused on the violation history, and I don't want to diminish that violation history at all. But understanding what the violation was and understanding how these licenses would be put into service, weddings in potentially a smaller amount of weddings in Utah County, where my understanding is that there's an option that private events do not need a liquor license for specific circumstances. Versus what I heard about what's going on at the Noir Event Center is why I'll actually be voting no on this motion. But again, I just want to underpin the utmost respect for all of my colleagues and also for both of these applicants. I think that we're just in a place with this scarcity on reception licenses that we just are not going to come upon an optimal solution. So with that, I'll go ahead and call for the roll call vote. Vicki?
Commissioner Orton? Commissioner Jacobson? Commissioner Terrazon?
Aye.
Commissioner Handy?
Aye.
All right, and I mentioned I would like to go on the record as voting no, but I will rule that the motion has passed and we've awarded a license to the Wild Oak venue in Linden. So congratulations on that. Does our agenda allow us to, is it noticed in such a way that we could award that seasonal license today if they wanted it?
Yes, you can do that. And that's been done in the past before as well with other types of licenses.
Okay, can I ask that Nora Event Center, would you like the commission to entertain awarding the seasonal license to you? And I'm gonna have to lean on those that are in the room to signal to me what the sentiment is.
He mentioned yes. He stood up and mentioned yes, he would like to be considered.
Okay, commissioners, I given what we learned today, and again, remember, we are in a place of scarcity. So I do think that we need to make sure that we are encouraging these constituents to work with legislators on this issue. And also, I will say that I'll make sure that I'm messaging or communicating with legislators on the issue of scarcity, knowing that we don't have another license in this particular type coming up for another year. And we will have reception centers coming before us in upcoming months. So laying that on the table, I still do think that we should consider awarding the seasonal license to Noir Event Center. And so I would ask go ahead, Commissioner Handy.
Thank you very much. I didn't want to speak over you, but I'm happy to make the motion. I move that we grant Noir a seasonal license at the November through April as indicated.
Thank you for making that motion, Commissioner Handy. Is there a second?
Second, Terrazon.
All right, thanks. The motion's been made by Commissioner Handy and seconded by Commissioner Terrazon. Any discussion? Vicky,
I need to clarify something because I may have to recuse myself. You say you sponsored an event, you were the sponsor of an event that involved Kenya West? You did. I need to recuse myself because of the anti-Semitic allegations that have been made against Mr. West and my involvement in dealing with anti-Semitism. I'll step out of the room.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Jacobson. Roll call vote.
Can I ask, we hold for just a second? Did you find that information? We're checking some information about event centers who are coming into the application process.
Chair Tenner, we're looking, it was referenced that we have a couple of, we know that there are some event centers pending that might come before you all in a few months if there are licenses available. And so Commissioner Orton's question is, what are the names of those? And do we know have knowledge of who those are. And so we're just trying
When
to,
they might be coming online,
Got it.
because if they're coming in late, like or early next year.
is that a question I could ask of Rob or Erica? Oh, it looks like Erica might know.
I think you were asking, sorry, running back and forth, but I think you were asking if there's any other pending applications. Is that correct?
Yes, if we have knowledge of ones that will be coming online, even if they're not officially pending, but if, and where they are.
We have no applications that have officially been filed. We have heard rumor that we will get some in the next month or so. I do want to make a point, Rob pointed this out, it's a good reminder. We are in the renewal process. So there's 2 more days to that. The reception centers are part of that. So there's potentially some that won't renew. We'll know that after the 30th. Well, actually October 10th is when we'll know. So.
And plus those who get awarded reception center licenses today will have to renew those licenses by the end of this month.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, let's go ahead and do the roll call vote. I do think that as your commissioners, as you're making your vote, you should be, I think it's a fair assumption that there will be event centers coming before us in the next couple of months. I'll be voting actually as if there will be in the next couple of months. Vicky, can you do the roll call vote for us, please?
Commissioner Orton,
Aye.
Commissioner Terrazon,
Aye.
Commissioner Handy,
Aye.
Commissioner Tenert.
All right, I'll round out the quorum with an aye. We'll note for the record that Commissioner Jacobson has recused himself from the vote, but we do have a quorum, and the motion has passed and that seasonal license has been awarded to our NORA Event Center. Hopefully someone can flag Commissioner Jacobson to let him know that we're on to the next agenda item, which is bar establishments. Rob, can you present these to us, please?
Yes, we have one change of ownership. It's the Union Event Center in Salt Lake. The application is complete. I don't know if you want to take that one first and then go to the news.
Yeah, let's go ahead and just take that one first. Commissioner Terrazon, can I go to you for any comments you'd like to share coming out of the committee and a motion?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you that well, but I think we'd like to make a motion to approve that change of ownership.
Great, thank you. Is there a second to the motion to approve the change of ownership?
Second.
Second.
All right, seconded by Commissioner Handy. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, and I guess we would have to roll call vote for the record because we're hybrid virtual. Thank you. Go ahead, Vicky.
Commissioner Orton, Commissioner Jacobson,
Aye.
Commissioner Terrazon,
Aye.
Commissioner Handy,
Aye.
Commissioner Tenert.
Aye, thank you. That license change of ownership for the Union Event Center has been approved. Rob, the next items?
Okay, so we have 11 bar licenses available. We do get one new one per population for next month. We only have one applicant that is ready to go, and that is Kimosabi in Park City. And it's no longer conditional, it's ready to go. And they're here if you'd like a presentation.
All right, thank you. I think let's go ahead. Let's have Commissioner Terrazon, can you share the recommendation of the subcommittee? And then we can see if the share the recommendation of the subcommittee, and then we can see if we feel like we have any questions for that applicant.
Sure. As they are ready to operate, our recommendation was to grant the license to Kimosabi.
Okay. Would any of the commissioners like to speak with the applicant? Right. I'd be looking for that motion then, Commissioner Terrazon.
I'd make a motion to grant the license to Kimosabi.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, seconded by Commissioner Orton. Any discussion? I'll just add that conversation in our subcommittee was to, I mean, especially for bar licenses, given the scarcity, was to very much continue to stick to the criteria that we've set around ready to open. And so therefore, with Kimosabi being the only applicant meeting those criteria, I'm supportive of this motion. Vicky, can you do the roll call for us, please?
Commissioner Orton, Commissioner Jacobson, Commissioner Terrazon,
Aye.
Commissioner Handy,
Aye.
Commissioner Tenert.
Aye. All right, the motion is passed and our license has been granted to Kemosabe in Park City. Congratulations. Next on our list, we are reviewing restaurant applications, full service restaurant applications. And I understand that Craig Waugh will be doing the presentation on this, so I will turn the time over to you, Craig.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, Commissioners. We have two items to address on the restaurant full service applications and items. The first, we have an extended closure request. This is 98 Center in Moab. Staff did grant a closure per statute for some remodeling. The 90 days is coming up, so they are requesting until the October commission meeting for an extended closure. They anticipate being open around October 5th.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Orton, I know that the operations committee reviewed these items. Can you share a recommendation on the extended closure?
Yes, we did.
Already.
Yeah, we did review the extended closure request, and we recommended that we approve the request until the October meeting.
Thank you. Was that your motion too?
Sure, I'll make a motion that
Thank
we approve the extended closure request for 98 Center until October commission meeting.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second, Terrazon.
Seconded by Commissioner Terrazon. Any discussion? Vicki, can you do roll call for us, please?
Commissioner Orton. Commissioner Jacobson. Commissioner Terrazon.
Aye.
Commissioner Handy. Commissioner Tenert.
Aye, thank you. The extended closure for 98 Center has been approved. Craig, can you present the other applications to us? Or will you please present the other applications to us?
Yes, we have two applicants that are ready to operate for their full restaurant license. We have one is Hamachi in Lehigh and Mateo in Salt Lake. Applications are complete. They do have their business licenses. They're ready to operate.
Great, many thanks. Commissioner Orton, I'll go to you for the subcommittee's review and then any motion if you're ready to make one.
The operations subcommittee decided that we wanted to support the applications of anyone who is ready to operate as of today. And we are also still supporting, even though we have 30 licenses, that's just kind of right on the cusp of where we feel comfortable moving away from our current more stringent ready to operate criteria. So with that said, we're still operating under the ready to open criteria that we adopted several months ago. And to that end, we support the applications of Hamachi and Mateo, and I would move that we award those licenses.
All right, thank you for that.
Second.
Motion. Is there a second? Did I hear Commissioner Jacobson?
Yeah, it was me. I
Perfect.
second it.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Jacobson. So the move to approve those ready to operate applicants by Commissioner Orton, seconded by Commissioner Jacobson. Any discussion to that motion? Vicki, can you do the roll call? Will you please do the roll call vote for us?
Commissioner Orton. Commissioner Jacobson. Commissioner Terrazon.
Aye.
Commissioner Handy.
Aye.
Commissioner Tenert.
Aye, thank you. I will move that that motion has passed and those applications are approved. Thank you and congratulations. So we need to wrap up this meeting fairly quickly, but I do want to take some time now to make sure that we allow any public comment that's been registered on the sign-up sheet in the back of the room. I'll have to lean on Director Clayson to coordinate that, as I don't have it in front of me. I guess we could say if you're to make public comment, could you please stand?
Yes, if anyone is here to make public comment and you have signed up to make public comment, could you please stand? Great, I see two individuals standing, Commissioner Tenert, Chair Tenert.
Okay.
if we could start with you, since you're closer to the room, and if you could go ahead and step out into the aisle just so we can expedite the public comment, that would be great. And when you approach the podium, if you could please state your name for the record.
Alan Wilkerson. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed commissioner, respected board members, I stand before you today as a native of Utah County, proud to share the remarkable narrative of the Utah Creative Chamber. This organization has been a colossus, a pivotal force driving growth and enrichment in our local community. Picture the vibrant arts and cultural environment it has nurtured. Enriching the social, economic, and educational fabric of our society, it's not hard to see that the ripple effects, increased tourism, business attractions, and swell of community pride. The Chamber's commitment to our local artists and creative professionals is at the heart of its mission. It is an engine of job creation, a catalyst for economic revitalization, creating life into areas long neglected and overlooked. Let us not forget the profound impact on our youth. The Chamber is not just fostering artistic talent, but it is shaping the minds of tomorrow. Through art and creativity, it cultivates self-expression, boosts academic performance, and nurtures critical and creative thinking skills. With initiatives covering events, workshops, summits, and mentorship programs, they inspire, motivate, and elevate our young population. The Chamber's vision extends beyond the present. It is laying the foundation for long-term prosperity and cultural richness. By championing our arts and creative industries, it works to preserve and celebrate Utah's unique culture and heritage. This contributes to a strong sense of community identity, making Utah even more attractive for living, working, and visiting. Economically, imagine a thriving creative sector spawning job creation and diversifying our economy. In the long run, the Chamber's commitment to fostering creativity and innovation will help us adapt to changes, face challenges head-on, contributing to our state's resilience and sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, the Utah Creative Chamber is more than an organization. It is a beacon of hope, a symbol of progress, and a testament to the transformative power of creativity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for those great comments.
Hi there, I'm Janelle Bauer. I represent El Cholo Restaurant. We're on the restaurant licensee application list and a victim of some very unfortunate timing today with this meeting. This is Rob Salisbury. It's his family's restaurant and he's the owner. They are supposed to get their business licenses and their occupancy permits tomorrow. They've got about 80 employees hired. They would really like to have jobs this month. And I'm asking you if we could have an exception or if you would consider their application. They're ready to go, besides those permits that are supposed to come tomorrow. Mrs.
Any questions for me? I'm a Californian, I know, and I'm not bringing California values here.
Well, I will say, I almost mentioned El Cholo. I did ask about you just as I asked staff to just make sure that you weren't ready to go.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know what we can do. Erica?
I was hoping to, yes, I've been here for a week and I was hoping to walk in there today with, and we find out it's gonna be tomorrow, so.
Yeah, and I asked right before because I thought, oh, it's so close, but.
So the ready to operate standards require or you all decided would require a business license swap. The statute does provide that you can issue a conditional license if they're waiting for a business license. I think when we last heard, and maybe you can advise, there were still fire inspections and other things that needed to be completed before that business license could be issued.
Everything has been completed except for we're waiting for an elevator inspection. So the city is going to issue a temporary occupancy permit tomorrow and the business license. That elevator inspection is going to happen during the week that the restaurant is doing training with the employees. So they'll just be serving staff and things like that. And then there's an opening date post final elevator inspection.
Yeah, it's just not clean enough for us to be able to make that decision today, because I will tell you, we have had license or applicants in the past, actually in the last year, who, really, they just thought we're gonna get it, everything's gonna be done tomorrow, and it ended up being 2 weeks past. And so it's hard to make exceptions.
We have 80 employees. They don't want to, you know how hard it is to find employees right now, right? They're all, I mean, it's a few weeks of paychecks for them if they don't get this license today.
Right. I don't know if there's anything that we can do.
It's really just a matter of whether you're sticking to the ready to operate, which is where the commission has been.
The recommendation of our subcommittee and the recommendation of the compliance subcommittee has been that we continue to stick with the ready to operate times.
This is just an unfortunate circumstance that's come out of having such limited number of licenses available. The commission has been put into a place where we need to, stick to some actually relatively strict criteria because of the way the statute's currently written. Once a license is awarded conditionally, the time to open that's granted to that applicant is a lot longer than we're comfortable with having a license not in operation, which I say at the same time being completely sympathetic to your position and the fact that you would get that license and do everything you can do to get that license operational as soon as possible. It's just the criteria were established just given that we can't take those chances right now with the scarcity of liquor licenses. That all being said, we took action based on the recommendation of the subcommittee. I will entertain if any of the commissioners would like to make a motion to consider this item. I will entertain that motion. Right.
I don't feel like we should do that in the absence of Chair Tui, who
I
feels
think it's fine. I think it's fine. If any of these commissioners would like to make a motion to consider, we can consider it. I'm just under the assumption that none of us are willing to make that motion, though.
I'm sorry, what? What did you just say?
Oh, I just said I think that we're in complete compliance to ask for anyone to make that motion if they'd like to. I think it's any commissioner's right to do that, but I also don't believe that any of our colleagues are going to make that motion, so I'll leave it there. All right. Is there any other public comment?
I mean, would anybody entertain the idea of a special meeting? We've done it in the past.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with a special meeting. I know that some of our colleagues have in the past, but I'm always happy to put a license in the hands of an operator when we can. It's just, I don't feel like we can make an exception right now until you've met all the criteria.
Yeah.
I think the simple solution is we have to stick with our rules because of the problems we've had in the past. The rule is the rule. If we're not going to have a rule, then we don't have a rule. But if there are extenuating circumstances that will compel the majority of the commission to hold a special meeting, there's nothing in the rules that prevents that either. So I think there are options available, and we just ought to continue on a course where we have predictability. And no matter how tough it is, especially in a situation like this, we have to stick with the rule.
Right.
Understand.
Right. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Is there other further public comment? Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for attending.
Chair Tenner, that appears to conclude the public comment. I don't see anyone else with a hand raised or standing.
Okay, perfect. Director Clayson, would you please just, this is a fine time to do it, we can count it as public comment. Can you just make one final reminder on renewals, please? And then we'll get to the point where we adjourn.
Absolutely. I will kick it to the remarkable Compliance Director, Erica Evans, to make that final reminder.
So nice. I want to make it extra clear on the record, especially for those of you in the audience that were just issued a license that are in renewal, that you will need to turn around and renew your license within 2 days. The statute provides no exceptions to renewal deadlines of September 30th. That includes restaurants, airport lounges, arenas, banquets, hospitality, amenity, hotel resorts, and reception centers. So a few of those were issued today. I want to make clear that please contact your compliance officer and we'll walk you through what you need to do to make sure you meet those renewal deadlines.
I just, I'd like to add to what Ms. Evans was talking about. Anybody who needs any help and knows anybody who needs any help, I think that that's important. There are people who have communication issues of all kinds. And so if you know of somebody that has a communication issue, please come forward so that we can help them. We're not out to try to take anybody's license. And that's the important thing. Try to find a way to make sure people understand exactly what they have to do.
Great, thank you. All right, who's looking for that final motion?
So moved.
All right, move to adjourn. I never know if we need a second or not. All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you very much. Thanks, commissioners, for your flexibility on this hybrid meeting, and thanks to the DAVS team for making it work for us. And thanks to all of our attendees. Take care. We'll see you next month.